A 1, 2, 3.
Gonna walk that promenade, yeah, we're gonna rock that promenade, be the talk of that promenade, looking for a star drifter, not a shapeshifter, lots to do and more to see, sweet sticks from a jump tree, oh, oddities, opportunities, free advice, but not for cheapo gambling wheels, shaded deals, meet me back here tomorrow, please. Walk that promenade. Yeah, we're gonna rock that promenade.
Hello and good evening. Star Trek DS9, Season 7, Episode 12, The Emperor's New Cloak is over, and it has been since 1999, but we're just getting started here in 2024 for our review of this episode on our ongoing mission to watch every episode of the show and talk about it. This one is The Emperor's New Cloak, and this is a live stream here on Facebook, YouTube, and on Twitch. I'm Dave Mader, and I'm joined with the inimitable Kevin Millard.
Hello.
Hello and good evening. We got coming to us. I think I'm not. You're not at home, right? But
I'm back. I'm back in Burlington right now.
He is back. He is. Yeah. It's confirmed. There were rumors of the. He is back here in town. Adam Woodward.
Yes, thank you. I'm happy to be back. And Kevin, you are an inimitable. Yes, you.
He's the inimitable. That's the moniker I've given him.
He's back, but is he a changeling or is he the real Adam?
Well, we'll have to put him to the test. We'll have to.
Which universe have I come back in, right?
Yeah. But is it the alternate universe? Spoilers ahoy. We'll be talking about this whole episode if you haven't seen it. It has been out for better part of what is it? Almost
25 years.
25 years ago. So if you haven't seen it yet, sorry, but we're hoping you have seen it by now and you want to reminisce with us about it. So Adam, how do you feel about The Emperor's New Cloak?
Okay, this was so freaking boring. It never had any energy to it. I was probably the worst episode I can ever remember seeing. So I hated it. I hated it, guys.
Kevin, how do you feel about this episode?
I didn't hate it as much as I remember, but it's still really bad.
Like, you had the premise to be fantastic, but man, that stunk.
Yeah, there was some funny moments, but as far as a story with stakes, no thanks. It's no good.
Best part was Wallace Shawn, his voice.
Yeah, Wallace Shawn. This is kind of a Ferengi episode. It's also a Mirror Universe episode. It's also
Esri again.
As another Esri episode. And guess what? Next week, another Esri episode. But let's not talk about that yet. This is I don't know. I always like the Mirror Universe episodes. This one is the exception for me. I do not like this episode. I think it actually diminishes the Mirror Universe, kind of where they had left things last time we saw them. I didn't need this. I think it was my least favorite part of this is probably that they mentioned that Jedzia has died in the Mirror Universe as well. Why? I don't even think we needed to bring her up at all in this. It's established that Esri is not the Dax host in the Mirror Universe. That's fine. It was, but otherwise, the idea that they didn't have cloaking devices, I think, in the Mirror Universe never made sense to me. They introduced it in this episode. It comes out of nowhere. And you're like, well, why wouldn't they have cloaking devices in the Mirror Universe? But now it's canon. They didn't until at least this point. So they wrote themselves into it. So
I thought that Worf was off making insurrection. He shouldn't have been here.
Worf is the regent. It's in this. He's playing a kinky version of Worf, I think, in the Mirror Universe. This is how Michael Dorn is choosing to play it.
And a gullible version. He is very gullible.
Yeah, he is nothing like Worf.
No.
You know, he's a very different character, as is the Intendant, you know, and Mir Garrick, who meets his demise in this episode. Seemingly, I guess, you know, it seems like Ezri stabs him with that virus that would liquefy your organs from them heating up or something. I don't. Okay, like there's just a lot of the choices they made in universe here bother me, but outside of that, like the story is kind of boring. I think.
Do you think that the pace was so slow?
Pace was very slow. I agree. The pace was very slow in this episode. It was sort of tough to get through, I thought, for me, because I'm supposed to care about Mir Ezri and Mir Brunt and what's going on here, I guess, right? I guess that's what the previous Mirror Universe episodes did, but this time I don't care because it's like, I don't know, Ezri's in this romantic relationship with the Intendant, and I don't know what the hell to make of that. And she lets her go at the end. She's like, I owe her that, you know. I'm like, for what? What's going on with this Ezri and Intendant stuff? And then Ezri ends up with Mir Lita at the end, and then I'm just like, going on. Okay, coming in here hot with a hot take. We got Jaemeel Robinson joining us, everybody.
You know, there's a bad episode of a Star Trek show. I have to be on it.
Yes, you've already signed up for some Next Generation episodes that are not anyone's top 2 or 3.
I can't wait to see that list, but that's for another time.
Yeah.
I'll give you a preview. I already said one. Angel one is another one of it.
Yeah. I was like, no one's put their hand up for that one yet.
Well, I'll do any ones you want me to do. I
know, but like specifically, people said I want to be on this one or this one. I like Jaemeel. He went the other way. He's like, no, I want to be on the bad ones.
Those are the best ones.
This is the best ones in terms of podcasts, often, and this could be the best podcast ever in the whole Deep Space Nine rewatch. We'll have to see, but. Jaemeel, how do you feel about this episode? Let's hear. What's here?
One of the worst things about shows that are aware of a concept that's bad is when they take like time in the show to point out how it doesn't make sense, right? So constantly saying, if this is the alternate, then this should be this way, constantly just points out all the flaws, and you start looking at more things that don't make sense in that entire universe. It doesn't at all.
Yeah, it's a little frustrating. It didn't make a lot of sense, even outside of it just being a poorly paced, sort of sloppily written episode.
No, you were going to say boring. You're right. It's boring. It was a boring episode.
It is boring. Like even with like I think Kevin's going to tell us, and I think I'm going to agree with this part. Is like you know, I think that Quark and Rom and Zach always have a little bit of a funniness to them. They do try to get through their scenes as best they can comedically, but I don't know.
I enjoy many of the characters, but the story is garbage. Like,
yeah, it's hardly a Star Trek episode. You know, it feels like something.
Well, there is a whole like real war going on in universe. Why are we going and worrying about the Terrans and the Alliance? I don't know. Another episode about stuff I don't care about at all.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and like they're not there's I don't know. Yeah, we hear like Sisko and Martok in one part of this episode, like they're walking down the hall and they're talking about really important war stuff, and you're like, no, I want to go with them and see what's going on with that.
No. That was the one scene I enjoyed in this whole show. Was carrying
at the wall.
The cloaking device. That was awesome.
All right. If you will, okay, Jaemeel.
Okay. My biggest issue ultimately with this entire concept is, so you have an dimensional transporter and you're in a war. Why aren't you using it to win that war? Like, just go to like behind enemy lines, transport there, okay, and start attacking them, like, or sabotage. Like, just it doesn't make any sense to me. Once you have that technology as a regular thing that anyone with like a keypad like Zach can use it, right? Why is this not abused and spammed?
Yeah, like you're completely right. Like it's not even the thing that bothers me the most, but the fact that he just stole this from Rob's pad, which is to go to another universe. which is a big deal. I think every time these universes cross over, it's pretty bad for the mirror universe. Mostly, it doesn't really affect our universe or the main universe too much. But
when it should, people should be like flocking to escape that universe.
Right, you think they would be trying to get out,
Yeah.
but they aren't. Seemingly, I don't know. We don't know the whole story, but we don't even get any of those interesting questions answered. I don't know. Like, it's just okay.
So you have all these interesting ideas and concepts that could happen. Let's ignore it all completely.
Everyone.
Let's focus in on this nonsense.
Well, I think we have to ask Robert Hewitt Wolf how. Okay, in the fun facts, I think Adam, you have to tell me if there's anything, probably on Memory Alpha, about how Robert Hewitt Wolf wrote this episode and what fell apart, which I imagine something did. Okay, but let's all remember Jerome Bixby, which I think that will also come up in the fun facts later on, I would imagine. Well, it's maybe a more somber fact. I don't know, but let's talk about this episode. Okay, it starts off at Quark's, and Ezri and Bashir having a drink. They're having a great time. Quark and Odo are watching from a distance. I know, like Kevin, you're already making the face. I'm with you. I hate this, because Quark is pining for Ezri, the woman of his dreams. He wants Dax now. We talked about it in the previous installments where we're not a fan of the storyline where Quark and Bashir basically are fighting for Dax the entire season. But clearly Bashir is in the lead in this situation. And but that aside, it's just like the stuff that wasn't really present when it was Jadzia Dax is now really been amplified on Ezri Dax. Adam, do you have any take on these scenes, or like maybe they don't bother you as much?
No, they bother me. Like these openings, these long, boring openings. You're right. And the brooding. I mean, come on. Like, I didn't like it. I actually like the other Ezri better. I wish they'd bring her back.
She mean the other Dax?
No, instead, flip them from the universes. Like, send this one over.
Oh, you like Mirror Dax, Mirror Ezri. Sorry.
Yeah, I like Mirror Ezri. I don't like this Mirror.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can't call her Dax technically.
No, she's Tegan, Ezri Tegan in the Mirror Universe, but
The only thing I liked about that scene is Odo messing with him. Right?
Oh yeah,
he's oh yeah, they were holding hands when they left.
Oh yeah, I got that as a clip. It was like my favorite part.
Oh, she slipped out the back with Bashir. I think they were holding hands.
Well, he pauses too.
Yeah, he always says hands. But it was also like at the beginning because Quark said what Bashir was doing with his hands was obscene because he was making Ezri laugh and he was kind of talking with his hands at the date.
What about his hands?
What about his hands? What's going on? Like it's kind of a funny scene. Like if the episode didn't kind of go into this boring thing where Rom shows up, talks about Zek being missing for 12 days, and Quark doesn't care. He just thinks it's nothing, right? And then he notices Ezri and Bashir have left, and that's the whole his hands. What do you guys think about him praying to his god, his Ferengi god thing or whatever? The great Ipsos with greed. What was it? I think I did get some of it.
Blessed exchequer, whose greed is eternal, allow this humble bribe to open your ears and hear this plea from your most devout debtor. Continue to bless my bar with a steady stream of thirsty customers whose pockets are lined with platinum.
Oh Lord. This is a fun scene, I thought. Like if you throw this in any episode, it'd be fine, I thought.
So where does this in his own quarters, right? Like his own.
It's just in his own piggy bank, so I think he gets.
Yeah, it's only piggy bank, so you're praying to yourself essentially. Like,
right. Well, what could be greedier in this pursuit of the Ferengi religion? Like, it's kind of like you're giving this offering, but then at the same time, it comes right back to you. So it's sort of self-serving.
Can I ask you guys a question? I'd like to go back just what we were just talking about with Quark and Dax and Bashir and Dax and Worf and Dax. Was she that good?
And what? And what do you mean by good?
Like is she worth all of these guys just pining over her and still now in death? Like
Jadzia Dax, she was pretty cool, I thought. But I didn't like this whole love competition for her didn't really start until after Jedzia dies, right? Like it feels like that wasn't really going on.
It's at the beginning of the show, and then it dies off because I think the writers realize it sucks.
Yeah,
And then they bring it all back in season 7. Like I don't understand.
so like remember that whole angle? We never got to explore that. There's a reason, you know, because you had a better story.
I think it's partially some of the writers don't know how to write women as like just individuals in themselves, as opposed to like being like an object of someone's affection or someone that they're chasing after. Or I think it's the easiest thing for them to do. So as they're learning about how they're going to explore the character of Ezri, they're like, this is the best way to do it. How else are they going to interact with her?
It's not even necessarily just the writers either. I mean, this is what the audience would have accepted in the 90s too, right?
Yeah, I have to agree. I agree with I agree with you, Jaemeel, completely. Like in terms of how the writers are treating it, right? Yeah. It's like the trophy. The woman is the trophy to be won, right? You know, and
well, so it sure seems that way, but it also lends itself to is like, so what? All the guys are in competition, and when they're going to hate each other when one of them wins, and
yeah,
and it was okay because Worf won, and he was sort of nobody's going to beat Worf,
right?
So
can't live after Worf,
and once one of them gets her, they shake each other's hands and like, battle well won,
Yeah, give me a break. Like sending Ezri to this station was the worst thing they could have ever done. Like,
emotionally, yeah, you're right.
In story, like in narrative, it doesn't make a lot of sense for Ezri Dax to come here right after Jedzia Dax just died.
No,
in terms of like moving on with the as a symbiote host, like.
I think it does for her though, because she says in one of the episodes she's looking for familiar faces, because she didn't go through all the initiative stuff, right.
So it's plausible.
So it makes sense for her to come here, because she needs that comfort to sort of get used.
What about Mirror Ezri though? How do you feel about Mirror Ezri?
I don't care.
But she doesn't have a symbiote.
She does. She's a completely different character.
Yeah.
So, how do you feel about her in this episode? You like her in this episode? You like her better?
I like her way better. She hasn't got the goofy smile on her face. She's not doing like trying to, woo the guys over. Like to me, it's like Julian is like a little upset puppy who follows her around because he wants and now. Oh my God, Quark's the same. Like, come on, like, leave it alone, guys. Move on.
It would be funny if there was a character like Mirror Ezri, because if it was like the guys trying to pursue the girl and the person who would embody Mirror Ezri would also be pursuing her as well. So that would be a change of pace, right?
Right. You got the competition from the woman. Yeah.
She's like a little kid, and like I don't even understand her role as counselor, because she clearly can hand it off to a hologram all the time. Like,
Vic Fontaine, but in the Mirror universe, guys, Vic Fontaine's a person.
Yes,
which was stupid. My God, that was stupid.
He doesn't even know what a hologram is. He's just a real person.
I wish he would have called him Pally.
Pally?
As he's dying.
Hey, Pally?
I'm done.
This is it, Pally. Yeah. My time is over.
Hi there, Pally. Vic Fontaine.
I wish he had been shot and laid there and died and then disappeared because he was a fucking hologram.
All right, we have to get to that part. What do you guys think about Zach being back, Wallace Shawn? I think this is his final appearance. No, is it? No, maybe not. Maybe he comes back in the finale.
If this is his last one, this is just embarrassing.
Right. He went to the Mirror Universe to try to sell them stuff or something, and he got captured. And then they want a cloaking device. Quark has to steal a cloaking device, as he says, within 3 days, and bring it to the Regent. That's the whole plot. That's the setup of the episode, titled "The Emperor's New Cloak," which brings us to Martok's bird of prey, the Rataran, which is Quark and Rom steal the cloaking device from. This was
Martok.
For Martok's bird of prey specifically. And we see it decloaking, but it's kind of interesting how they probably would have played this scene. It's kind of like miming, right? You're kind of doing some action, because I don't think that they're really digitally removing that. I think it's more like they're adding the flashes of the real thing when they need to.
Yeah, that coffee cup is empty.
Right. Right. When we go to that mode, like they're not really holding that.
No.
But it was funny.
It was
This
funny.
was a funny scene.
Like they're trying their best with it. Like, to be fair, in the source material, and it's kind of like this would make a fun comic book almost storyline. I think, you know, it's kind of like a side story or a short where Quark, you know,
This would have been a good start to a better episode, but it just
Right.
isn't.
It's the opening to our Lower Decks episode.
Yeah.
You can blind. Okay, no, this episode was written by Ivy Stephen Bear and Hans Beimler, and directed by LeVar Burton, Geordie LaForge himself, guys. So we can blame him.
It's not horribly directed. It's just there's nothing you can do with a story like this in terms of like improving the like what it's like. I'm gonna shoot it better so it's more interesting. Like, what can you do?
You can't do much. Okay, we were talking a little bit, I think, before the show, or maybe it was during, that we kind of like this scene here where Cisco and Martok are going along and they're talking about, oh, the war, the Dominion's going to flank us here. We have to increase our supply lines. And then they stop and they notice that Quark and Rom are staring at the wall. And then they claim here that they're considering painting Rom's quarters this a shade of gray, which they says everything in the station is painted the shade of gray. And he goes, oh, that I like it a lot.
That's why I like it so much.
I like it so much. It's kind of a funny gag. But then, like, where does it lose us, guys?
Cisco should be a lot more skeptical of Quark in the fucking corridor.
Yeah.
I think they were going there, Kevin.
Yeah, they were going there, but I think Cisco was also like, I don't have time for this right now. You know, like, I think I'm just going to accept that these idiots are looking at a wall trying to figure out the pain. Yeah, so, and then Quark shocks himself on the cloaking device. He says, oh, don't touch that part.
Isn't it giving out radiation of some sort?
Oh, probably, you know, but who knows? So Rom decloaks it here. Then we see the real prop brought in. So they were going to give it to Ezri, but then Ezri says, you can't come with us. But then Martok shows up. This was maybe my other favorite funny part here, where he's like,
Ferengi! I'll have you hanging by your ears!
I'll have you hanging by your ears. And they beam out with Ezri and this cloaking device to Terok Nor, which of course orbits Bajor in the Mirror Universe. It's not out by the wormhole, and they materialize in the cargo bay, which of course is a Terran base in this at the current time. I love
that when they get here though, Rom is like, "Oh, it didn't work." Like,
oh yeah,
oh my god.
One of the ongoing gags of the episode is that Rom doesn't understand that this isn't the alternate universe. What's alternate? It just looks like a cargo bay. I thought everything was different. You know, he's looking for a mirror cargo bay, maybe. But Quark says a cargo bay is just a cargo bay. In some cases,
no wonder they call it the alternate universe.
It's the alternate universe. So Vic Fontaine here, guys. This is the part we were talking about. He shows up. He is a human, not a hologram, even though he's a hologram in the main universe.
Like, I can write an explanation as to why this happened, but why would you waste a single moment of like screen time to explain it? It makes it like like the moment that you write out any type of explanation, you're like, you know what? It doesn't make any sense. Let's just remove this scene. It makes no sense why you would have.
Is the Mirror Universe just like are they just making it a farce at this point?
This specifically, yes.
This episode and this.
Yeah, I'm just reading the background here. We'll talk about it, but yeah, it looks like they were.
Yeah. So Vic,
they were hoping to kill it.
James Darren shows up here as Vic Fontaine, and I don't know, and Bashir, the Mirror Bashir shows up and says, "You'll die. You're gonna rot in hell, Fontaine," and he just straight up shoots him in the chest.
It's like he wanted to be like outside of the holodeck so bad. Please put me in an episode somehow.
Yeah, they're like, okay, you'll be in the Mirror Universe, and it doesn't matter. No one cares. It's the Emperor's. Right. It's the Ferengi episode where we don't even have to quite follow the rules, because I think after like the Magnificent Ferengi, I feel like they felt like there was a lot more freedom here in terms of what was plausible and how Quark and Rom and the other Ferengis survive certain situations.
You know what it feels like, honestly, Dave? It feels like I don't know if you watched the ending or near the ending of Hercules, the New Adventures of Hercules,
The Kevin Sorbo years?
When they would do those episodes in the future or the present day, and it was just absurd and like minor callbacks to the actual show, but it like really had no bearing on anything. It's just terrible sequences that were, the first one seemed kind of interesting, but any other versions of it that I think they did 4 or 5 episodes of it just seemed lame, a waste of time, and just playing off the same gags as before. That's what this feels like.
Yeah. Question here from Norman is, does Mir Bashir have learning disabilities, or is he genetically enhanced? I don't know. Does he have
our little secret?
But it's alternate, so if he had a disability there, then he didn't have a disability there, and maybe he was really smart and his parents did something to make him dumb, and that would be alternate.
Mir Bashir like punches Ezri across the face and then Quark loses.
No, that was a respect slap. That was like, sorry, a discipline slap, just like
right.
Backhand's discipline.
Yeah, he did not enjoy that where Quark's like, "You bastard!" And then
this Quark, leave her alone. I'm like, Jesus, Quark's not even the one you like.
Yeah,
God damn.
But he reacted. If he saw the real Bashir do that, he would go for it. He would save Ezri from Bashir. And they're like, "Oh, you're going into the holding cells, guys." Where's Bashir? Sorry, guys. So they put him in the cell, right? Smiley's there. They I don't know.
Okay.
Sorry, guys. I was looking for the clip where Bashir's like, I couldn't tell like a house from a tree and a boat from a sky or whatever. But I couldn't figure out what the clip started with. Okay, anyway, so I figured that was what the Mir Bashir could be. Here, a guy who can't tell a house from a boat or whatever. And they're trying to figure out what to do with Ezri and Quark, and Smiley seems nicer about it. He's like, I bet Cisco doesn't even know you're here.
It looks like he's wearing a dress, like the top of a dress.
Who? Smiley?
Smiley.
These are his nice threads. This is rebellion. This is what a rebel wears.
This looks like a top of a dress.
This is what a freedom fighter. This is how they go. They mentioned that Mira Jadzir has died. They try to convince Ezri they need to break out and do something. We go over to the Klingon ship, where Zach is getting umox from the intendant with his ear hairs growing out, and she's tickling the ear hairs, guys. There's, I don't know. She's the one who got Zach to ask them to bring the cloaking device, and then he's like, well, unless Quark and Rom screw it up, and then she grabs his ears and she starts punching the bodyguard and going pretty crazy on them. And then he's like, well, but we'll work out. And then she goes, oh, that's good. And then she turns back into her happy, nice self again. Goes back to stroking Zach, and until she gets what she wants from Zach.
Classic intendant.
Intendant. It's like maybe one of her most boring scenes, I think. On Tarak Noir, Rom is trying to get some sleep, and then Quark talks to Ezri about why he's doing this, which is loyalty. He's not going to get paid by Zach or get anything really for it. He's like he's going to do this, and she finds ridiculous.
I actually like when she's asking him and she goes, why would you do that? And he just goes, I don't know. Loyalty, I guess.
Loyalty, I guess. It's just how I am. You do it for your Nagus. That's our Nagus. But then they are saved by Mir Brunt, guys, as Jeffrey Combs comes in here to save them, who's a friend of the Mir Ezri. Not friends of Smiley and Bashir and the Terror and Resistance. And they break them out, basically. He's like, I have food waiting for you on board. Come along, and Rom finds this very peculiar with Mirror Brunt being so nice. He's like, well, if O'Brien is nice in both universes, how could it be alternate? It's very confusing. Some people are good and some people are evil.
What Rom doesn't know is that O'Brien in the Prime universe is not a nice man.
Deep down, he just pretends to be on TV.
Talking about the Cardassians again.
Yeah. I do. I love what they did here with Brunt, though. I love that Brunt that's serving them food, and he's so nice, and he's very concerned with their well-being.
Yeah, he's like, no, they are good guys. I like Rob and Quark. He even goes out of his way to stick up for them to the attendant later on and gets himself killed in the process. He like Rob is like, I love Mirror Brunt. Mirror Brunt is my bestie. And Quark is kind of indifferent to Mirror Brunt, but you know, it kind of works. I don't know. There's like almost a good episode here, guys. I think, you know.
No.
If we could just lead into the humor, but I don't know. Like, it's very this is where he's like, it doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense. It's not alternate.
No, it's not alternate.
Different. It's just absurd that he can't wrap his head around it. It's a different dimension. It isn't like there's only 2 dimensions and it's alternate. Like.
Yeah, he's like, it doesn't make sense. What, you know, they're dead in this universe, he's told. Well, he already knew that from Cisco.
So wait, if he was alive in this universe, would that like confuse him? Because like, if I'm alive in this universe, shouldn't I be dead in my own? Like...
Right. I guess he could look, but he is alive in his universe, so it makes sense that he's dead in the other one. I don't know, but not everybody. But some people are alive in both. Like obviously, both of Brian's are both alive. So I don't know what to tell you, Rob.
This is going against all the other Mirror Universe episodes we've ever seen. Honestly, like
it's the worst one. I think even if you like the Mirror Universe episodes, like this one's bad. And if you
listen, this makes like last time we talked about was really Enterprise, right? And that was great compared to this one. Like you
got Evil Hoshi on that.
Evil Hoshi,
right? Well, but before we got the Mirror Universe Enterprise episode, this was the most recent one before that, right? Yeah. So they really brought it back in that 2-parter.
Yeah. Well, no wonder
this was so bad that Voyager's like, no.
No. Yeah. And the one before this is Mirror Barile. Like, they haven't done a good Mirror episode in quite some time.
Right. Yeah, because they knew they had flopped on the last attempt, and this is what they give us in the follow-up. They're like, what if we do like something with it's Quark and Rom and go? And I'm like, this isn't that interesting.
What if we do the Magnificent Ferengi again?
Again, but it's just, you know, but no, without, like, I think if you had what's his name? Nog, sorry. Here, like if Nog had been in the story, would it have been better or worse? Probably worse.
Nog would have just been like, "Dad, you're an idiot. Stop it." Just...
Right? No, it had to only be these 2, I guess. Okay, this was also the scene where Worf, the Mirror Worf, is the Regent, is getting
stupid Worf,
the beetle snuff.
See if this Ferengi has any more of this beetle snuff.
Beetle snuff. You think? I wonder if Davan's even ever got this far in the episode before to even know that there was another reference to beetle stuff. Davan loves to play that clip off his board. We get more Mirror Garrick. They were trying to make their scenes kind of work, but this kind of fell flat for me.
But Garrick played the same character in both worlds.
More or less. Like he wears a Cardassian uniform in the Mirror universe. That's about the only difference. Otherwise he's a bit more of a scumbag, I think.
And a bit more hapless. Like he's not really all that cunning, and
he's a goon.
He's more of a goon. He's more of a goon. And that's
not
kind of what
right.
And that's what Quark and Rom and Zek tell him. He's like, you're not even nearly as good as our Garrick. You're like a very poor imitation. He's like, well, what does he do? And he gets all confused by what's going on with the other Garrick.
Right. Rom played mind games with Mirror Garrick. Rom.
If you're like Cork or Rom, you would never let Garrick in your universe let that down. You were just like, I ran mental circles around you.
Yeah. Do you guys, what do you think of the scene here where the regent here, he's trying on his new spiky gloves and he wants to try them out. So he brings over one of his goons. He's like, "Here, your regent needs you," and he basically kills him with the spiky glove. And
they work.
They work, he says. But I don't know.
But yeah,
That's not.
It didn't feel like anything. It just there's nothing to it.
It didn't make him more sinister or anything. Like I didn't care about that guy.
Made him more joke. Like he's just a joke.
Yeah, he's just more of a joke.
It would have been interesting if it was like Martok or something, and like, oh, it's someone we know, and he just.
Well, I think it would have been more interesting if you had thrown Mirror Martok, somebody we'd never met, into this episode. JG Hertzler is available for the episode. We've never seen Martok. You know, he could just be one of Worf's.
Unless he's like, no, I'm not. No,
he's already in the episode. He would.
But yeah,
why didn't he just follow them through the transporter?
Yeah, I don't know. That doesn't make a lot of sense.
Wouldn't the immediate reaction is get Cisco down here?
Right.
Whatever they did, replicate it. I'm going after them.
You think, but it doesn't seem like they're pursued whatsoever, as far as we can tell.
No, and they never mention this again.
Okay, we need to talk. We need to talk here about the scene here where it's revealed that Ezri's betraying them to the intended because she's in a relationship with the intended. How do you feel about this one, Kevin?
The intended is in a relationship with everyone.
Yep.
True.
That's the way she does her web or whatever. That's again now they write them.
But this is 1999. Remember, like the first, like it was the kiss with Dax, a couple seasons earlier, Jadzia Dax and Lenora Khan. That was a big deal when that aired, and this is the follow up a couple of seasons later. This is back in the 90s when that would always make like TV guide.
It make the news, yeah,
that kind
of
stuff.
Like when Roseanne did it, and
Roseanne, yeah. So like this was and they were like it was becoming more mainstream commonplace, right? So
but the real questions are being asked in the chat.
Where's Miramore?
Real
standing at the bar.
I would like if Miramore actually like was talking, I don't know, but anyway, there's all this stuff. They're gonna kill the Ferengis eventually once they figure out what they need them for. I don't know. I didn't care about any of this, guys.
We've seen this exact plot in like every single television show genre possible, where it's like, oh, they're captured and the unlikely ally who's betrayed them grows a conscience and helps them, save the day at the last second. That's basically what just happens. We've seen it a billion times.
Davan misses Mirror Barile. He thinks that way.
I do not. This is better than Mirror Barile.
How much better is it?
Oh God. Okay, Mirror Barile, I think I gave that a 0. This is going to be like a 2 or a 3. But the distance between 0 and a 2 or a 3 is way farther than the distance between like an 8 and a 10.
Okay, that's technically not true, but I know what you mean. And so there's all of this. What is this next scene? Them talking in the cell about what they
look. You can barely do this.
I'm trying. What was the story here, Jaemeel? Help me out.
Was it Brunt has second thoughts, wanting to save, the Ferengi, and then
the intendant walks in on them, and she's been listening to the whole conversation.
She allows Brunt to speak his piece. She kills him because she was not interested in it. Ezri, visibly shaken, but kind of, plays it off, walks off, and that's the end of the scene.
Okay, Brent was supposed to be her really good friend, but she doesn't seem that broken up about it.
I think she was playing it cool.
She's playing it cool, but I think they were just doing this to continue the streak of the Intendant killing a Ferengi character in every single season, and I think there's no other reason that Brent was even in this episode. I think they just had to kill some Ferengi, and they had already killed Quark, Rom, and Nog in the Mirror Universe, and they're not going to kill them for real. They're not going to kill the main universe versions, so they need another.
Where's Mirror Zach?
We could have had Mirror Zach, but there is no Mirror Zach as far as we can tell. That could have even been more interesting to have two Zachs.
It would have been awesome to have Zach taken hostage by Zach.
Right. Yes. Like we're writing a better episode here, guys.
Inconceivable.
Yes. And then they would have a poison. There should have been a poison drink.
Yeah.
Oh, that would have. See, we could already write a better episode than what we're seeing.
Yeah. We find out that that they find the Defiant, right? They get the cloaking device going here. No, this is before they find the Defiant. This is when they get the cloaking device up.
Yeah. They have to what's it called again? They have to install it. It isn't finished installed.
They need Rom to do it, and then they try to negotiate a little bit, but then Rom just agrees to do it. But they've already come up with the plan in advance.
Yeah.
There's a ruse here by the Ferengi brothers. And they end up. It seems like Rom's like, "I'll see you later, brother," but they're playing it off cool. Yeah. And then Rom installs the cloaking device, but he's actually installing a sabotage in the process. That when the ship decloaks, it's going to fry all their systems. Which is a good idea. Rom kind of saves the whole day here.
Yeah.
Quark does really nothing.
Yep, he does nothing.
So does Worf. Just lets people work on a ship without having any checks and balances. Nothing.
Yeah,
you don't have no
other engineer to say, "What are you doing? Tell me why you're doing this or how this thing works." Right? None of that happens.
You're going to install cloaking technology, and you have no engineer to even verify that it works.
Or maybe figure out how it works.
Yeah. How are they going to duplicate it?
I don't think that far ahead. You should have gone back to Insurrection.
More of Kinky Worf in the Intendant.
Kinky Worf.
He's Kinky Worf in this universe, I don't know. I guess that's the whole idea of the Mirror Universe. They're all kinky. They're all in relationships with each other. They get the cloaking device going, and this means that Garrick gets to kill all the Rom and all that company.
Yeah.
I did like how the ship appeared over.
That was a great shot.
Yeah.
You're right. Absolutely great shot.
The ship.
Yeah, when it decloaks right above the Defiant.
Oh yeah. No, that comes later. What do you think about Garrick's evil poison with the virus that will liquefy your organs or whatever?
There's your poison, Jaemeel.
But it should be in a cup, and it has to be switched around.
No, it's a little thing. He wants to kill the Intendant. Remember, there's all this huge rivalry between Garrick and the Intendant, and I feel like we're kind of robbed of their confrontation in this episode, right?
If they really wanted to make this into a comedy, there should have been a sequence where he's it's like Robin Hood, where the vultures want to take off someone from the field, and they get excited, right? And then they're about to go on the field to carry someone away, and they're get waved off. Sorry, that might be bedknobs and broomsticks, but either one.
Who do you guys? How many of you like the original crossover episode? Back in season 2 when they first brought the Mirror Universe in.
No, hated it.
You're not a fan, Jaemeel. Adam, do you like that episode, that original episode?
No, they went away with what it was supposed to be.
Which one specifically is that one? Is
the one where it's Kira and Bashir, and they cross over first, and they're with the Intendant on the station, and and Mir Sisko's there, and he ends up helping them escape in the end. Right, they're kind of.
I liked it. I thought that was.
I thought that episode's pretty good, and I thought one of the better parts of that episode for me was the whole dynamic between Garrick and Kira, the mirror versions of them, the Intendant and Garrick, because he was her first officer, and they've been going at it here for many seasons. And if you're gonna tell this long arc story over many episodes, don't give us this where Garrick basically dies trying to kill Quark and Rom with his thing for no reason, when they don't even need to kill him, just because they're no, for fun we're gonna kill you.
Could have just knocked him out. Should have chopped him.
Yeah, it was just kind of whatever for me. Like I thought this whole thing, because they have like this comedy thing they want to do with the Ferengi, and because they have Wallace Shawn here, this is how they played it out. But I think it's a mistake in terms of what, like, I think the mirror universe is supposed to be dark and evil and sort of like whatever, and they it's just a farce in this version. Another huge part of the problem with it, right? You know,
Yeah, everybody's kind of stupid.
Yeah. Why didn't they torture the information out of them? Like,
I know
like,
they
a
have
torture
agony.
chamber.
They have agony boosts.
Yeah.
That's part of the mirror universe. That's part of what they do.
You wouldn't know it.
Yeah, you wouldn't know it. Like it, you know, in a lot of ways, it feels very, very different,
You
disconnected.
know who perfected it, honestly, was, and I'm glad Jody's not here, but Discovery.
Discovery, well, or Davan for that matter. You know, as they would both be telling you.
Jody's sneezing right now repeatedly.
You mean it feels like the Discovery mirror universe?
I think that was the best mirror universe. Like their characters and how like Lorca was and how
Giorgio.
Yeah, Giorgio was, like, they were intensely evil, you know.
Right, and it didn't have this.
I think intensely evil isn't the correct what you mean to say. I mean, like, it's more ingrained. Their way of thinking is absolutely different than how we think, which is what it should be. Not like they're the same but evil. Like,
yeah, because they don't understand how this universe, I guess, would. Like, how do you all get along so well? It doesn't make any sense to us.
There is no federation.
Yeah.
Right. There's only the empire.
Like, why would you want anything other than imperialism?
Right. It doesn't make sense to them, you know, because they don't see well in the dark, or the light. Right. I don't know.
Well, every character is not necessarily evil, but they're all id. Like they're all just.
That's the way
governed by their passions. But that's it. There's
remember Mirror Spock? He was kind of a different cat. You know, he was
right. But they explain that as being like different because the Vulcans perceive it differently, or they can see broadly, you know, other pathways that things can happen. Right.
They're a little bit trans-dimensional awareness. Is that what you're saying?
No, I think that they just have the broadness of a bigger brain to think that there's other things that can happen out there. Because they did the same thing in Enterprise with the Vulcans.
True. Guys, just since we have Mir Bashir back on the screen here, and I did find the clip I was so blankly searching for earlier.
In first grade, when the other children were learning how to read and write and use the computer, I was still trying to tell a dog from a cat, a tree from a house.
Tree from a house. Okay, so that's what we're dealing with here with the Mir Bashir, presumably.
What if it was a log cabin, though?
I don't know.
Like they told him that get out of bed, come straight to the set. Do not do makeup.
You're Mir Bashir. You're different. You see here that the Regent ship is approaching with the cloaking device on. You get this aft view of the Mir Defiant, and he's like, we are invisible. We are going to destroy them. Prepare to decloak the ship. Mir Garrick's getting ready to kill them, and they're like, they're explaining things about Garrick as a stalling tactic, basically. When everything comes to a head, the Klingon ship decloaks, and it's a lot bigger than Defiant. You know, this looks cool. You know, this would look cool in any episode. And then Mir Bashir and Smiley here, they're like, this ain't good. But then Worf realizes, I'm in trouble. Actually, the lights go dark, and I did you guys like the Ferengis charging at Mir Garrick with his evil, his virus thing
with the virus hyperspray? Like,
he could have just got one of them, right away. But they kind of try to overwhelm him. That was their plan here. They thought this was their opportunity,
and then he jumps on Quark, and it seems
nearly
like
kills
the rest of them disappears. Like. Yeah. Are you gonna pull him off him? Like
including the big guy, Tiny Ron. He doesn't get involved here at all. Like it seems like Garrick completely beat the hell out of all four of them in an instant, right? And then got the best here on Quark, and he's about to inject Quark, but then
monologues.
Ezri shows up as Ezri's has a conscience now, and she then stabs Garrick with this virus that liquefies your organs or whatever, and then see you later, Mir Garrick. He is out, and she comes back and saves Quark, and there's kind of a moment here. She's helping them escape. Mir Bashir then realizes that the Klingon ship's defenseless. There's nothing they can do, and they can take their whole power systems offline. So like, let's take the fight to them.
Why would you fight anyone on the ship? Why wouldn't you, if the shields are down, just transport
to the bridge? Yeah, you could take the whole ship.
Well, but transport knockout gas, into quarters of the ship, knock everyone out, and then go and clean up the rest.
They specifically wanted the Regent to surrender here, so I think that they I don't know.
They could have possibly destroyed the entire ship.
They could have, but they didn't. This is how the Terrans roll. Don't be messing with them. So so they're they want unconditional surrender from the Regent. Which he agrees to. But the attendant somehow the attendant's going to escape. Of course, they won't be able to get her here, and they're in the middle of space. And it seems like it would be hard to get away. But she's going to get to one of the shuttles. But the Regent doesn't even try to escape. He's going to go down with the ship. He even pulls down out his captain's chair and throws it across the room as a sort of a tantrum thing.
So dumb.
There's then the confrontation in the hallway here between Ezri and the Ferengis, along with the intendant. I hate it. I didn't like this scene at all. It was really boring. They were just pointing the guns at each other, and I don't know what was even the point. I don't know. Say something redeeming about it.
Nope, I will not.
Stuff happens. That's what happens.
Did you guys like the performances, the writing, the lighting?
It looks like
full lighting,
costumes,
the costume
designers,
makeup,
the costume and makeup people. They're just like, how can we make Ezra look different? Oh, she was on a show before this one. Let's just pop in and just use the same makeup she did in Deepwater Black. That's exactly what it is.
It's her Deepwater Black makeup.
Yeah.
I don't know. Okay, we're almost at the end here. Back on Terragor, they bring in the Regent. There was no they're almost setting up something else is going to happen after this. Who cares? It's over with season 7. I guess the Terrans won. I guess they won the war because they got the Klingon Regent.
Is this the most future version of the Mirror universe that we ever see?
Correct. Yeah, it's the furthest along the timeline. We don't know what happens to them after this, really. Other than the only thing we know from Discovery is that the connection between the universes is going to fade, and eventually there won't be no crossovers whatsoever. So it's kind of a temporary joining of these universes that won't always last.
So there's a crisis.
There's a crisis that comes up later on.
Yeah.
Who's that guy who played the famous director who plays that character on Discovery? Adam?
David Cronenberg.
David Cronenberg. Yeah, he's always like, there's been a crossover in hundreds of years. We haven't seen any Terrans in a while. It's been cool. Anyway, then Mira Lita, who does show up in Star Trek Online, guys, as Admiral Lita of the Terran Empire, the chosen of the Coast-Emojin. And she's working now with Mira Janeway in Star Trek Online. Chase Masterson has done a lot with this character after this, but this is technically her canonical introduction as she shows up to debrief Ezri Tegan, sorry, not Ezri Dax, debrief her, but it seems like it's going to be romantic.
That was believable. This acting, actually, that was that flirting that was going on, that was completely believable.
You well, what about, and her saying, we're not married, Rom. There's no way I would marry Rom.
That also seemed very believable.
It seemed more like, that makes more sense, but maybe we're in the alternate universe is what Rob should have thought. Anyway, so they kind of go off, and it's just like, okay, have fun. They're like, Zach likes this universe. We don't even see them go home. We don't even see them deal with Cisco. None of that with Martok, who was going to hang them by their ears. None of that.
It's just another Enterprise ending, Kevin.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just done.
And that's it. Okay, take it off the screen.
Yeah.
What do you what do you say to something like this, guys? What were they thinking?
Well, let's talk about that.
Okay, fun facts with Adam. Adam,
All
the
right.
floor is yours.
Okay, so the episode came about because Ira Stephen Bear wanted to have a Quark Rom show before they got into the final arc. And he chose the Mirror Universe as a setting because I've got to give us a chance to present another example of Ferengi having to face adversity and danger, and Quark having to rise above himself a little bit. But did he do that?
No. And
No.
There's a whole war going on, but of course there's no opportunity for that to occur. So
Right.
yes, Mirror Universe.
Quark
So-
didn't have to be in the story at all. Raw. It was all about Rom.
Yeah. So Bear also commented, we felt the need with a small to revisit the alternate universe one last time. Let's face it, the alternate universe is a wacky idea. And I don't care what anyone says. Mirror Mirror was a wacky, silly show. Though we tried many ways to play it off with a straight face at first. In Deep Space Nine, as the time went on, it just became tougher for us not to see what it was, which is why it kind of rather flakily alternative to what we've been doing. So who better to have Rom and Quark? Rom is trying to figure out the alternate universe. I just thought that Rom stood in for all the fans who just want logic and wanted it to make sense. And I wanted to be taken seriously. Yeah.
I don't like his comment or his take on it per se, because I think you could do something interesting with it. It doesn't have to make complete sense, like from a science fiction point of view. I think that there was potential. I think some of these earlier Mirror Universe episodes were good or interesting at least.
Sure.
And I think if they thought it was just silly or dumb or they didn't want to do it anymore, then don't do it anymore. You didn't even have to do it. That would have been better. So
exactly. Like
leave it alone.
You decided that it was a silly concept, so let's make an episode. What?
Let's make an episode where we're just gonna bury it so bad. We're gonna make such a bad episode. No one's gonna ever want this to come back again.
So Bear goes on to say, he cracked me up every time he tried to label it or trying to find another definition to it. To me, it spoke a lot about the fans, his little arc in that show that needed to all make sense in the most obvious way. To really enjoy the alternate universe episodes, you just have to try to let go. You have to relax your sphincter a little bit and not be so anal about it.
Lord.
And just try to have
I will not relax my sphincter.
No.
Listen.
That's something to quote there, Jaemeel. I hope you recorded that. Okay. We all love, obviously, the intendant, blah, 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 you know.
His answer is, hey, you guys just relax and just enjoy this piece of shit I've made.
That's what he's saying. He's like, listen, we all know this is shit. We all know we had to. No one said you had to make a Mirror Universe episode in season 7. Like, tell a Dominion War story. It's the Dominion War. Like, what are you doing?
This is a 1 now because of that fun fact.
Yeah.
There's still time, Kevin.
They weren't even trying. And they have no remorse. They're not even apologizing, which they definitely should be, I think.
Well, you want to hear how their reaction to their reaction to this? Bear was extremely happy with how this episode turned out. Primarily because
famously has such a loose asshole.
So here it is. Primarily because through Rom, we finally got to question this whole lunatic idea of the Mirror Universe. What the hell?
Oh God.
So Shimmerman was also pleased with this episode, commenting that particular episode was an ensemble piece. Quark and Rom were on a mission, but certainly Ezri was as prominent as the two of us. She's always prominent since she showed up. Nicole Bear had an absolute blast making the episode and she asked, "Can I play this character all the time?" I wish they would have let her.
Well, we might see her in Star Trek Online because Ezri Dax has shown up in Star Trek Online, so we could get a mirror version. I could see that happen.
That's hilarious. She's like, the character you saddled me with, can I just play this other one?
Yeah. Let's go around with Chase Masterson and
you know what? That would actually kind of be pretty funny if she like constantly keeps hitting on Rom's wife the entire time.
Oh, it would be great. And get rid of the guys chasing her all the time, you know?
The guy's chasing her and she's like, I'm not interested. But
right. So she goes, and after playing Sweet Ezri, I thought, yeah, this is going to be fun. Not that Ezri was too sweet, but this is really just fun to do.
Like, she wasn't like, I don't know, like I thought her mirror portrayal was kind of flat, honestly. I think she plays I like
she wasn't given a chance. Like she hardly was in it. Like she was in it, but she was
in this a lot. She was given a lot of chance, I think, to try to do something with it.
Maybe.
Like I think that the lines were boring, but like I I don't know.
Okay, like the episode Rejoin, this episode contains a kiss between two women, the Intendant and the Mir Ezri. And a visitor was not particularly enamored with the scene, stating, "I never intended for the Intendant to be bisexual. I think that the assumption that everyone, including the writers, made after the character fell for Kira in the crossover, but that had been total narcissism on her part. If anything, it had nothing to do with sexuality." Okay.
I don't think. Well, the Intendant's like not even like she's like almost asexual in some ways. She's just like crazy. Like, I don't even like. She does it for like as a control thing, you know. Like it's less. She's kind of. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think she particularly cared about Ezri at all. I think it was more the control and the the pleasure of the control as well, the manipulation.
Yeah, I don't know.
And then another actor who was very happy to see his character was Andrew J. Robinson. I was really, he was 3 times. I was really, really, really happy about Garrick's death. I never liked those alternative shows. Oh my God.
He was just happy that Mirror Garrick was dead.
Yep. To play this character again.
He's like, I never have to do this again.
I'm so happy. This was the best day. Great day at work.
Yeah. And then finally, LeVar Burton commented he loved doing that one because I've been in the Mirror Universe before. And this was a return trip to the alternate universe where it was a really fun trip. So, man, they all loved it. Oh, wait. Vic's death scene in this episode was the second time that James Darren had died on screen. The first time was in 1961, Guns of Navarone. Darren commented the alternate universe was just a lot of fun. So, man, they just all had fun, Dave.
How could that have been fun for him? He was in it for 8 seconds. 8 seconds.
He's not Samuel Jackson, and he's like, probably one of these episodes, like, can I fire a phaser or do something? Put me in an episode doing something. It's like, look, I got an idea.
Yeah,
and that's
there are no rules.
We'll make you a real boy and then send you out to get shot.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, wait. So we got Jeffrey Combs talking now, too. Our Brunt is just out and out tenacious and mischievous and mean. So the Mirror Brunt, I just decided to be in a good mood. He was the guy that was willing to help out in a pinch.
Yeah, he was like, yeah, Mirror Brunt's just like the nicest guy ever. Yeah, he's
the only character I truly enjoyed.
Yeah.
Brunt, FCA.
Yeah, this guy was nothing like he was like a completely different Ferengi. This guy.
He was a waiter. He was basically a waiter.
Basically a waiter. He wasn't like the guy we knew, right?
He was a simp.
Disease.
Disease.
He's a simp, as they would say.
Yeah.
I left some hot tea by your bed.
I left some hot tea by your bunk. Yeah, he's like,
I'll wake you up before
I'll wake
46
you up
hours.
before we get there. Don't worry, you know. And then he's like, "Oh, I wanted to be her boyfriend, but she's not into me." And then Quark's like, "Oh, I'm gonna go for her." He's like, "Oh no, she doesn't go for the boys." So
okay, so I got to wrap it up with this one because you mentioned Jerome Bixby at the beginning, but I'll finish with him.
Yeah. Who is he? I think I've seen his name in credits before.
Okay, this episode is dedicated to the memory of him who died shortly before the airing of this episode. He was best known for writing the first Mirror Universe episode, Mirror Mirror. Okay, and here's what after everything I just read, just listen to this. He's best known. Okay, and Bear felt it to be a tip of the hat to the origins of the whole thing. So here's my homage to you by saying how horrible it was.
But that's not what the original story was. Like, I don't think it's a tip of the hat. I think it's a slap in the face.
Yes, I agree with you.
Yeah, they're insulting it. It's wrong.
In tribute to you,
I don't think I've ever been so upset about it.
We can't stand for this, guys.
We're taking your entire concept and we're making it a farce.
Yes, that's like
yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, by the way, thanks for the memories. Jesus Christ.
Let's rate this. In the comments, people were saying 0.001 or like not even that. Davan gave it a 0 coming in, guys. So
what did the Mirror Burrell episode get?
Mirror Burrell episode from you?
Let's see if I was even there for that episode.
What was that called? That episode? It's
just look for
Resurrection. Here it is.
Resurrection. Yeah.
Jaemeel, you gave it a 1.5.
Okay. Jeez.
Kevin gave it a 0. Davan gave it a 0. I gave it a 2.5.
So I have to give this. I'll give it a 1.8.
You giving this a 1.8?
Yes.
I say that Mirabelle is better than this.
No.
That's where I'm going, and I'm going 1. Jody not with us. Adam.
Oh, this is just a terrible episode. I'm giving this a 0. I don't think I've ever done that.
You've done it to the minefield episode, the Romulan minefield.
I gave that a 0. Okay, well,
is that this bad? Is it Romulan minefield bad? Which I thought was fine.
This is way worse. I think I'd have to bump up minefield.
Let me confirm that. I'm pretty sure that's what you gave it. Minefield, you gave a 0. Yes.
Okay, give that a 1. Move that up.
You're retroactively giving it a 1? Okay.
Just because I have to give this a 0.
You have to give this a 0. You can give it a 0.5. I'll,
1's fine. I like my random.
You're okay with 1. All right. So you are staying with your 0. Kevin, you are up.
I'm a 1. Just for Mirror
Mirabelle.
No, not Barile. Fuck, why can't I remember his name now? Brunt. Mirror Brunt.
Okay, Mirror Brunt.
I like Mirror Brunt.
Mirror Brunt. The Emperor's New Cloak has a 0.8. This will definitely be in our bottom 5. Easily, it might be the worst episode of the show.
This might be the worst. Yeah, I don't think I've seen one under a 1 total.
We'll have to see if Jody and Jeff and others can come in here.
It's gonna drop. It's gonna drop lower.
On IMDb. It has a 6.3, which
makes no sense.
It seems a little high. But I think the last week's episode was better than this by far. But they share the same rating. Okay, and so that's the Emperor's New Cloak. Clearly not a favorite of the panel, as we were all below 2, at least here. And next episode is called Field of Fire, which is an episode where there's like a murder conspiracy on the station.
Mirror.
Did I say mirror? Murder. I meant
Esri and
her and Joanne, her former host.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
There's got to be a good one coming up. Like, I remember season 7 being pretty epic. Like, what are we doing here?
I think you probably.
I think it might be a final good 3 episodes.
Yeah.
I said, don't worry, Adam, you're gonna come in here for some great season 7 Deep Space Nine watching here.
I haven't. I've liked it mostly. I think.
Well, you've averaged a 6.8. So you
take it tonight. It's like
I should bring it down. But
I should have been tired.
There's more to come.
Jody and just said
the last set's gonna raise the entire.
You gave it 10. It's only a paper moon. 2 weeks.
Oh, I really like that episode. Yeah.
How far are we fallen? In 2 weeks from It's Only a Paper Moon, which had Nog, and then his dad and his uncle go off on an adventure. 0. I think
it's like this every season though. Like the mid-season episodes are pretty hit and miss.
Well, I feel like there were like if I look back at like season 5, for instance, the lowest episode in that season for us is like maybe a 7.
So keep in mind, it's also easier for
7.3.
It's also easier for us to give a lower mark because we know there isn't like more coming. That's going to be worse.
5.5. There was 5. Rapture was our most disliked episode of season 5. Which I don't quite remember what that was.
And here's my other. I mean, I keep coming back to this, but when you had seasons that are 26 episodes long, I mean, you can do this crap. We're a little. I think we're more patient with it because if you're going to take away like a 10 episode show with something like this, I'd be furious.
And it's kind of like there were less shows. You had to watch it on TV, so they could do this stuff. And people,
but you know what, Kevin? Back then, like, I mean, you're waiting the whole week. I guess finally you get to watch Deep Space Nine tonight, and then you watch this, and you go, "Oh my god, I gotta wait another week for something good to come along."
Yeah, but what else are you gonna start? What else are you gonna start watching?
Nothing.
There isn't anything
Hercules.
else. Right.
Hercules.
There was less competition back then, right? So this is the only game in town. They could afford to lose your interest. Maybe
all those episodes of Deepwater Black you missed.
Right. Sam says it gets better. Gets better when the final chapter comes.
And Sam, I'm the answer to your last set of questions. Who's doing Code of Honor? This guy. Who rated it over a 1? This guy.
Well, yeah, Star Trek: The Next Generation. When we do kick out that podcast, you've already signed up for Code of Honor.
Yes,
and that podcast.
That was the first one I mentioned,
which I think will be an interesting podcast. No matter what, we'll see how the ratings will shake out. So okay, Rapture was that episode in Deep Space Nine where he was getting the visions of Valhalla, and he was like, "Locust, they'll destroy Bajor," and all that. That was our most disliked episode of season 5. That is way better than this episode.
Yeah, it's way better.
Yeah,
right. Like that's as bad as it got back then. And like I'm like, oh, like even for a mid-season thing, where you might be trying something more experimental, I feel like this was just kind of a blah. And I think that the next episode is also sort of a miss, unfortunately. So it's just kind of sad that like there was a couple, they had a really good episode and then like sort of a bunch of whatever episodes, and then they finished out the show. It's kind of what I feel like we're going to kind of see play out here for this end of season 7. But hey, all right. Well, any more final thoughts, guys? Call it a night. Call it a night here. We'll say goodbye to the Emperor's New Cloak. This episode that had no Emperor in it.
Good riddance, you mean?
Good riddance. See you never. Is what we're gonna cast this off here. And hope for better in the near future. Okay, well, Class L Probe was going on last night, Adam. I saw on the science division of Live Long podcast. What were you guys chatting about?
We were actually turned out to be a Janeway focused episode. Some good questions about what she would and wouldn't do. Dave was great. He only brought in the classics, the classic philosophy once. I was a little disappointed. Talked about Plato and the Republic, but anyway, it was a good episode. We had a good time.
Good.
Please go watch it.
Go check that out. Listen or watch it on wherever you get your podcasts. As well, check out the other divisions here of Live Long and Podcast. I guess we'll also be having Star Trek Discovery coming back April 5th. Adam, that announcement came out.
Oh.
You and I and probably Michael Chan and others will be chatting about that. Whoever wants to talk about season 5 of Discovery, it's a smaller bench, I'll say, for that particular team. But it's that will be coming up in the near future. And then we would hope that Strange New Worlds and Lower Decks will also have new seasons this year. We imagine. No Picard this year though. We'll see what
was it Saturn Award winning season 3 of Picard.
Hey, won a Saturn Award. What's the other one? That Starfleet Academy show is still in development as far as I know. So I'm kind of interested to see if that actually comes to fruition. All right. And check out in the near future our Next Generation podcast, which will be launching, I guess, whenever this ends, in another 15 weeks? No, more like 13. 15, 13. It's a while away, but it's not that far away. So anyway, we'll see you on the flip side. Check out our sister podcast on the United Federation podcast. You can find all of them on ufpodcast.com. And on that note, we will sign off for the night. What's a good close? Oh, let's pray to the Ferengi gods and see you next time.
Blessed exchequer, whose greed is eternal, allow this humble bribe to open your ears and hear this plea from your most devout debtor. Continue to bless my bar with a steady stream of thirsty customers whose pockets are lined with platinum and whose skills at Dabo are shaky at best.
See you next time.
Now let's get out of here.